they seek to reach all the corners of the earth.
Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. We are back this week with a new episode of Roundup.
As always, let's take a look at the headlines.
19 children and 2 teachers were killed in a shooting on Tuesday at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. The children who passed were aged between 7 and 10. Officials say the violent outbreak began with 18-year-old Salvador Ramos shooting his 66-year-old grandmother at her home. The gunman was spotted minutes later charging toward the school armed. The Czech Republic and Slovenia reported their first cases of monkeypox on Tuesday, joining 18 other countries to detect the virus outside its usual Africa base. Outbreaks of the virus have been found in Europe, Australia and America. The symptoms often include a fever and rash, but the infection is usually mild. A full report into the lockdown parties that took place in number 10 Downing Street and other government spaces during the pandemic has been released. The report, written by senior civil servant Sue Gray, said that many of the events should not have been allowed to happen, and that senior leadership must bear responsibility. Boris Johnson responded by saying he takes full responsibility, but won't be leaving his job as Prime Minister. Scientists in Argentina, South America, have discovered the remains of a very old species of flying reptile. The predator would have been the size of a bus and the height of a giraffe. It has been named the Dragon of Death and is thought to have lived 86 million years ago, along with dinosaurs. The team found the fossilized remains in the Andes Mountains, the world's largest mountain range. The space rock has been given the name 1989JA and is said to be more than a mile in diameter. NASA says that while it is the largest asteroid to make a close approach this year, there's nothing to worry about as it will pass by Earth at a safe distance of about 2.5 million miles. Russian forces are bombarding towns and cities in eastern Ukraine with the declared aim of liberating the old industrial heartland known as Donbass. Vladimir Putin is now looking for military victory in the largely Russian-speaking East.
Jazakallah for that. It's important we try to keep ourselves informed about what's happening in the world.
For our first report, we head over to Islamabad, where we look into Khilafat Day, what it is and why we commemorate it.
Every year we hear about Khilafat Day, but what is it and why is it so important? As you've probably noticed, I'm in Islamabad, which is Qasr Khilafat, or the home of Khilafat. I'm here to talk to my friend Iqan about how Khilafat has helped both of us in our lives. What's it like living in the same place as Huzur?
Well, it's such a big blessing that I can't even explain it. Ahmadis around the world crave to meet Huzur, just once.
What's your personal relationship with Huzur like?
I write to Huzur, Huzur writes back. It's kind of like a grandfatherly relationship. Like Huzur prays for me, not just me, all of us.
Have you had any inspirational moments with Huzur?
Yes, in fact, I had one very recently. You see, well, I had COVID. Once I had recovered from COVID, my eyesight had been degraded a lot, and I saw double, I saw blurry, and it was at the point where I thought that nothing would cure me. I had went to the optometrist, and they had said that I might have a neurological problem, which is...
A brain problem?
They said I might have a brain problem, which was a matter of life and death. And then one day, after namaz, Huzur stood outside, and then my dad was standing there. He asked Huzur for prayers and told him about my condition currently. And even when the doctor said that it's a really, really serious brain problem, Huzur said, "Fikr na karo, kuch bhi nahi hoga." We wrote to Huzur a lot. We prayed a lot. Everyone prayed a lot. I had been given a prescription, and my eyesight it was like nothing ever happened.
That's sad but amazing at the same time.
It was really nice meeting you, Bhai.
Khilafat is a source of peace, security and guidance. It is also a fulfillment of a prophecy by the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Khilafat will one day be re-established in the time of the promised Messiah. Let's talk to Murabbi Ayaz Mahmood Khan Sahib to find out more about Khilafat Day.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. How are you, Salik?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm good. Come on, let's go into the mosque.
What is Khilafat Day and why is it so important?
That's a very good question. So on the 26th of May, 1908, when the promised Messiah, ﷺ, the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, passed away, that was a day of great sorrow and grief. The next day, on the 27th of May, a system of successorship or Khilafat was established in the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, in which Hazrat Maulvi Nuruddin Sahib radiallahu anhu, who was a very devoted companion of the promised Messiah ﷺ, was elected as the first Khalifa of the promised Messiah ﷺ. So it is to mark that blessed day when this promise of Allah the Almighty was fulfilled that we celebrate Khilafat Day on the 27th of May.
How should we commemorate it?
Well, Salik, the best way to commemorate Khilafat Day is firstly to be thankful to Allah the Almighty. We should be thankful that God gave us this great blessing, which no other community in the world has.
What can we do to help Khilafat?
Well, Salik, we should always remember that the greatest help for the Khalifa is from Allah the Almighty Himself. In the Holy Quran, Allah the Almighty says that I make the Khalifa, I appoint the Khalifa, and I will always help him. So we should always remember that the Khalifa doesn't need our help. Allah is there to help the Khalifa. But if we want to also gain the blessings of Khilafat, then the way we can do that, the way we can support the good works of the Khalifa is by praying for him and by always obeying him and by following his guidance.
How would you describe Hazur's relationship with the Ahmadi Muslims?
Ahmadis love the Khalifa more than anybody else in the world. But the amazing thing is that no matter how much Ahmadis love the Khalifa will always love the Ahmadis more. And that's why this relationship is so beautiful.
Khilafat Day is a reminder of how lucky we are to have beloved Hazur to guide us through all our difficulties and big life decisions. It's our duty to respect, honor, and help Hazur. If we all do that, then we can all share the blessings of Khilafat Day.
Jazakallah Salik for this beautiful report on the role and importance Khilafat plays in our lives. We're truly blessed to be the recipients of Hazur's Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasr Aziz's love and prayers.
Absolutely. And one way we can show beloved Hazur, Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasr Aziz, how grateful we truly are for his love and prayers is by regularly writing to him and building a personal relationship.
Jangi, another way of building a relationship with His Holiness is by listening to his Friday sermon. Now let's go to our weekly Friday sermon summary.
Assalamu alaikum, my dear brothers and sisters. During this week's Friday sermon, Hazur spoke in great detail about the blessed occasion of Khilafat Day and its importance. Did you know the first ever Khilafat Day Jalsa was held on the 27th of May, 1957? During this week's sermon, Hazur Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasr Aziz said, on this day we hold gatherings about Khilafat Day. But why? It is important to always keep the answer to this question in your mind. This day first started on the 27th of May, 1908, when, in the fulfillment of His promise, God made Khilafat in the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. The promised Messiah ﷺ had been telling the community for some time that his time to pass on was drawing near. However, at the same time, he would also give good news that God had promised this community's success, which would be led by the system of Khilafat. Hazur Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasr Aziz said, in history, we find that the loyalty shown at the time of the first Khalifa radiallahu anhu's election is a clear sign of God's help. Even though there are very small numbers of hypocrites who wished to raise disorder, they were unable to. Similarly, there were those who sought to create disorder at the time of the second Khalifa radiallahu anhu's election. Yet, the world saw how rapidly the community spread, with the establishment of mission houses and the publication of literature, etc. Then, During the third Khalifa Rahmahullah's time, even though there was great opposition from the government, the community continued to spread. The fourth Khalifa Rahmahullah's time saw new avenues being opened in the spread of Islam, and though there were those who sought to stop him, the community only continued to flourish that much more. If these were not fulfillments of God's promise, then what were? Then, during the fifth Caliphate, we have seen the immense progress made by MTA with the establishment of new channels in more languages reaching further than ever before, as a result of which the message of true Islam is being introduced to those who had never heard of it. His Holiness Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Aziz narrated various incidents about how people have been miraculously guided towards accepting Islam Ahmadiyya. For example, a Christian man in Guinea-Bissau saw a dream in which a man wearing a turban was delivering an address to a crowd of people. He saw the same dream 3 times, but he could not recognize who this was. Sometime later, he was in a nearby town and saw the Ahmadis watching the Friday sermon on MTA. He asked who this was and was informed that this was the Caliph. Afterwards, he prayed with the Ahmadis and then announced that he was accepting Ahmadiyya because this man who he saw on MTA was the same person that he'd seen in his dreams. Hudur said that these are the ways in which God guides people, even if they live in very far places. Hudur also said that some people may ask why such incidents don't happen to them. Hudur Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Aziz said that these are the blessings of Allah, and it is also important for one to be sincere and pure in nature. Towards the end, Hudur Ayyadallahu Ta'ala bin Aziz said that every Ahmadi must have a bond of sincerity and loyalty with Khilafat, which in turn will help them to fulfill the purpose of their bay'at. This, in essence, is the true purpose of holding Khilafat Day. Dear brothers and sisters, this was just a very brief summary of last week's Friday sermon, which was filled with many interesting stories and incidents. We hope you are able to hear the full Friday sermon, which can be found on mta.tv. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah for that summary. Now, have you ever wondered if dragons really exist? Well, in our next report, Rahis takes us to the Komodo Islands, the natural habitat of the Komodo dragon. Let's take a look.
Kalian pernah dengar kata naga kan? Apa sih yang muncul di kepala kalian kalau dengar kata naga? Makhluk mitologis seperti ini? Atau yang ini? Atau buah yang satu ini? Gimana kalau saya ajak kalian buat ngelihat naga beneran? Iya, Indonesia punya loh naga beneran yang bukan buah naga. Yuk ikut saya ke Flores, Nusa Tenggara Timur. Selamat datang di Pulau Komodo. Inilah satu-satunya habitat asli komodo di dunia. Kalau dilihat-lihat, komodo mirip dinosaurus ya. Jadi sebenarnya mereka ini apa sih? Naga atau dinosaurus? Walaupun nenek moyangnya mereka adalah dinosaurus, tapi komodo bukan dinosaurus loh. Komodo baru ada sejak 4 juta tahun yang lalu sebelum zaman es. Terus komodo itu sebenarnya jenis hewan apa dong? Ternyata komodo adalah jenis kadal atau biawak terbesar di dunia. Panjangnya bisa mencapai 3 meter dan beratnya bisa mencapai 1 ton. Ya kira-kira 2,5 kali lebih besar dari saya deh. Gede banget ya. Komodo adalah hewan karnivora yang memiliki bisa pada mulut dan air liurnya. Bisa tersebut berguna untuk melumpuhkan mangsanya. Walau tidak memangsa manusia, komodo termasuk hewan berbahaya loh. Jika tidak ditangani segera, bisa komodo mampu ngebunuh manusia. Serem ya. Makanya kalau kamu main ke sini, jangan dekat-dekat dengan komodo ya. Soalnya mereka juga bisa berenang dan memanjat pohon loh. Komodo berburu mangsanya dengan cara mengendap-endap. Matanya bisa melihat jelas sampai jarak 300 meter loh. Tapi mata komodo tidak bisa melihat dengan baik di malam hari. Makanya komodo mengandalkan lidah untuk mencium bau mangsanya. Yap, walaupun komodo punya hidung, tapi fungsinya cuma buat bernafas, bukan untuk membaui. Sayangnya, sekarang komodo termasuk hewan yang terancam punah. Itu karena habitat komodo yang mulai rusak. Gak heran kalau sekarang komodo termasuk ke dalam daftar hewan yang dilindungi. Untuk mencegah kepunahannya, sebagian komodo juga dikembangbiakan di penangkaran Taman Nasional Komodo. Kalau kalian penasaran pengen ngelihat komodo, yuk ke Taman Nasional Komodo di Indonesia. Sampai ketemu ya!
Jazakallah for telling us so much about the Komodo dragon. I'm sure, like us, you'll all be sitting at home wishing you could go and visit Komodo National Park someday.
Our Nigeria studio has prepared a very interesting report this week all about wood. Let's head over and catch this report for more.
Do you know that wood is a gift of nature from Allah the Almighty? Wood is a product derived from timbers in forest, serving different purposes after a milling process. The milled wood are used for house constructions, furniture making, making of sculptures, or carvings. I'm here today at Okobaba Sawmill, which is located along the longest lagoon in Nigeria that cuts across different parts of Lagos State, southwest Nigeria. This sawmill has a unique feature of natural preservation using the lagoon for its transportation and processing. It is along the longest bridge of Nigeria, Third Mainland Bridge. Okobaba is the biggest sawmill in Nigeria and one of the biggest in Africa. It covers over 30 hectares of land. Timbers from the forest are brought through the lagoon using tugboats to Okobaba sawmill and are stored in the lagoon for preservation before being milled into various forms of needs. Here, we have several machines used in this milling process. This is a bandsaw machine used in the milling activities. Some of the outputs of the sawmills are planks, facing board, plywoods, and doors. The sawmill serves as one of the largest wood markets in Nigeria, where wholesalers visit to buy planks and other accessories. So when you see a house well constructed and furnished with a wooden material, it is so after passing through this process. Sawdust is a major waste from these milling activities, but do you know that this sawdust is also very useful? It is used for agricultural products to repel weeds and grow some plants. It is also used as animal beddings by poultry farmers. Sawdust are used as burners to help keep warm during the winter. It is locally used to produce fire for cooking. There are other several benefits of sawdust. Till another time we come your way, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah for that report.
Now it's time for us to have a look at what you had to say about today's special topic.
I stay connected to beloved Azur by writing letters and sending him drawings.
We stay connected to Khilafat by writing a letter to our beloved Hazur Ayadallah Ta'ala Bismil Aziz,
and watching Hazur's program on MTA,
and praying for our beloved Hazur in our 5 daily prayers.
May Allah grant our beloved Hazur long and healthy life.
Ameen.
I keep connected to Khilafat by writing letters to Hazur regularly and watching the Friday sermon repeatedly. Allah Hafiz.
To get closer to Hazur, we should write lots and lots of letters to Hazur.
Keep an eye out on our social media accounts and send us your messages to roundup@mta.tv because we'd love to hear from all of you.
Just before we draw towards the end of today's episode, we've got one last report brought to us by our German studios.
In this report, Nama takes us around one of the oldest and largest folk festivals hosted in Frankfurt, Germany.
Die Dippemess ist ein buntes Volksfest für die ganze Familie mit einer langen Tradition. Wenn wir heute von der Dippemess sprechen, denken sicherlich viele, die dieses Fest kennen, an die vielen Attraktionen wie das Riesenrad, Autoscooter sowie an gebrannte Mandeln, Zuckerwatte, Slush-Eis und Dosenwerfen. Das war allerdings nicht immer so. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Mein Name ist Nama Mahmoud Bhatti und wie ihr seht, befinden wir uns gerade vor dem größten und ältesten Frankfurter Volksfest. Die Dippemess findet zweimal im Jahr statt. Einmal im April für ca. 3 Wochen als Frühjahrsdippemess um Ostern und einmal für eine Woche als Herbstdippemess Anfang September. Im Herbst und Frühjahr zusammen hat die Dippemess ganze 2 Millionen Besucher. Erstmal fand dieses Volksfest im 14. Jahrhundert statt. Damals war sie unter dem Namen Mames bekannt und war ein mittelalterlicher Verkaufsmarkt für Hauswaren aller Art. Unter anderem verkauften Töpfer zum Beispiel aus dem Westerwald hier ihre Ware. Das war übrigens nicht auf dem Festplatz, vor dem ich mich gerade befinde. Damals genügte nämlich der Platz zwischen Dom und Römer in Frankfurt. Dann kamen immer mehr Fahrgeschäfte und die Dippemess musste 1969 hierher zum Ratsweg umziehen. Ihr fragt euch jetzt bestimmt, wie der Name Dippemess zustande kam. Die Keramikschüsseln und Töpfe werden auf Frankfurterisch kurz Dippe genannt. So kamen jedenfalls die Frankfurter auf die Idee, die Marmesse als Dippemess zu bezeichnen. Die Dippen werden übrigens immer noch verkauft, allerdings nur noch auf 2 Ständen. Neben den zahlreichen Fahrgeschäften und Gastronomiebetrieben gibt es auch ein großes Festzelt, in dem unter anderem Musik angeboten wird, sowie Sommergärten. Auch das große Feuerwerk am Montagabend ist für viele ein Grund, zu Dippemess zu gehen.
Jazakallah for telling us all about the Dippemess. It's amazing to think this festival roots back as far as the 14th century.
That's right, but unfortunately that's all we've got time for today. We hope that you enjoyed this week's episode.
Until next week, Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call. Thy message to reach all the corners of the earth. Oh, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call, oh, I shall call, I shall call. Thy message to reach all the corners of the earth.